legacy. Wednesday night tuned in to this legacy. Mark and Will locked in on this legacy. Mel and PRP's in on this legacy. Let's go. What you know about this legacy? Wednesday night tuned in to this legacy. Mark and Will locked in on this legacy. Get your popcorn, I know you need this medicine. Let's go.
What's going on, people? Welcome back to another great episode of Legacy, where this show is strictly about PRP and male high school players. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, but not just players,
Coaches too.
everything.
Yes, everything.
Because we got a good one on, right?
We have a great one today because I don't know how we did this. I don't know how we did this.
They say we can't do it, right?
They said we couldn't. And the season's going on. Took the time out for us today. PRP's head coach, Mr. Tommy. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes,
Big
right.
time. We know how busy you are, like I said, in the season and everything like that. So, basically we want everybody, Panther Nation to get to know their head coach. And
Right.
And I'm pretty sure they do, but they really going to get to know you tonight.
Yep.
As we travel down memory lane and
Yes.
see how you got started. So let's go on and hit it off with this, Coach. What age were you when you started playing sports, and what sports did you play?
Football has been in my family for a long time. So my dad actually played a little bit with the Louisville Bulls and Don Hillerick. So I was a young fella in and out of the huddle and was probably brainwashed a little early on. Those guys would call me coach because I was out there yelling at them while they're running sprints, trying to get in shape. So it was probably in my blood a little early. Played a little bit of baseball growing up, played a little bit of basketball. I'd bowl, golf, anything I could get my hands on to get outside and get active. But as I got a little older, wasn't quite as talented as I wanted to be. So sports kind of left me for a little bit and then went into the workforce for a moment and got an opportunity to go back out and follow in the Pops' footsteps a little bit and play for the Bulls for about a year and a half. And Don Hillerick was at Manual High School at the time, and they were looking for freshman coaches. And I got to go out and join them in the spring. Coach Joe Nichols gave me an opportunity to coach the running backs that spring, and I fell in love. Never looked back. Spent 2 years with them. Coach Nichols was forced to move on at the time, and then Coach Heiser hired me at PRP, and I've spent the last 11 wonderful years there. So it's been a long lifetime of sports, and hopefully I've got plenty more left in me.
Well, guys, that's the show. He wrapped it up real quick for us. Let's Coach. Let's dive back down a little bit. Let's dive. So you've been around it, you know what I'm saying, coaching and things like that. So, from Louisville. You from Louisville?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Born and raised.
So, as you've been in sports and stuff like that, so what little league did you play in?
I didn't play football until I was 10. Played for the Doss Youth League for a year and then transitioned over to the Stewart Spartans. Got some lifetime friends from that program. But when I was younger than that, first sport that I really got in organized was baseball at Wyandotte Park. So all the days at Wyandotte, I was there from T-ball up until, kid pitch. And then we ended up moving a little bit over towards PRP. So went out and actually caught TMD's practice last year. And those dudes were on my old baseball field. And I was like, y'all ain't going to believe this, but I grew up right down the street. Wyandotte was my hometown.
Oh, yeah. So did you dunk on that little small rim? You know what I'm talking about, Coach.
Dude, I wasn't an athlete. So
that's what we used to go, like, get that middle one, get that small one.
Oh, yeah. Still couldn't get it.
That's cool. So we did at middle school, and what did you go to PRP? What high school did you go to?
We're not supposed to talk about that. I ended up at Butler High School, I ended up at Butler High School. So all my buddies from Stewart. So I went to Simple in elementary, went to Stewart for middle school, and then everybody was on their way to Butler. So I said, all right, sign me up. I guess we'll do it. And it was the worst 4 years of my life. So glad that I'm back at PRP.
Coach, hey, you know what? You get on this guy right here because if I would have got that one, I'd have been ready to rock and roll because I always give Butler the blues. But
Yeah.
wow, Coach. Hey, sorry, Coach. Didn't mean to hit you like that.
No, you're good. I've been paying him back ever since.
So did you play for Butler?
I did. So I went out my freshman year. I tell the kids this story all the time. I was 5'2" as a freshman trying to play quarterback. And at the high school level, that wasn't going to cut it. And so I tried to slide out the receiver. And one of my friends growing up, we were looking for a backup quarterback my freshman year. And they said, Tommy could play it. And I said, shut up. I'm 5'2". I can't play no quarterback in high school. So freshman year didn't go very well. And then I tried a couple other things. I wanted to go try to play golf and try to go play basketball. So I actually didn't get back on the field until I was a senior. By that point, I had grown a little bit. So got up to 6'1" and just wasn't ready. Life lessons learned and stuff that I get to pass on to these young fellas about not missing opportunities at that age.
Good.
Okay, Coach. So great growth spurt. Number one, great. Right. And I know you're probably like, man, if I was a freshman at 6'1".
You're right. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, and I know you said basically you've been around it and all as far as coaching. When did you realize that coaching is what you wanted to do?
Exactly.
I always had, it was in the back of my head. Like when I was growing up, I was the kind of guy that said, that's what I want to do. Like I wanted to play and you want to be the superstar and that thing. But I always knew that, after I was done with my football career that I'd end up wanting to coach. But, as you get a little older, you don't know how realistic that is. And that opportunity that I got at Manual, I knew that I wanted to give it a shot. And I was thinking about this a little earlier. The guys that I coached with those first 2 years really gave me my education in coaching, and it put a good taste in my mouth about the profession and the positive impacts you can have on young men. And going back out there on Fridays and your heart's beating fast, and tell the guys that that's a feeling you can't get anywhere else. But the practice field, just being able to get your hands on them and teach them. I would go home in those early days and say, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. I'm going to organize my life around it. And fortunately, my family has supported me through all of that. But yeah, that first year at Manual, I was hooked forever.
What year was that, Coach?
2008 was my first year at Manual. Then 2009 was my last year, and then went over to PRP in 10.
Was Nino there?
That's what I was trying
was
to say.
Nino there?
Nino came in right after we left. So I was 09. The 2010 staff, Coach Lucas took over. I did interview with Coach Lucas, and I think that he just had a different vision of where he wanted to go. And Coach Iser called me up and wanted to, present me an opportunity over there. And I was moving over here and said, PRP is really the place that I'd always wanted to be. When I was at Butler, I kind of had in the back of my mind, that's a school that you could really go build something at because, we say it all the time. It's a neighborhood school, and you don't, there is no Manual neighborhood. There is no Ballard neighborhood. There is no Central neighborhood. So to be able to get the community behind you, to show up in the stands and to be able to get people to believe in something, PRP was just, it's kind of a calling to a degree.
Right.
Well put, Coach. Hey, big time. That was right there. So let's see. You've been at PRP how many years now?
This will be 11. I always mess the math up. I try to, give the kids the old timer story. I've been doing this here for blah, blah. I think it's 11.
Wow. And you head coach, how long head coach?
Head coach since 2017. So I was Coach Iser's offensive coordinator from 10 until 16, and then took the head job over in 17.
So let's talk about your offensive philosophy.
Yep.
So, for people who, in the middle school and they think about going to PRP or whatever,
Right.
Explain your offensive philosophy for the kids and the parents and things like that.
Right. So the first thing that we start with is if you play for us, you better get ready to score points. I know everybody wants to do that on the offensive side. That's obvious, but it's evolved a little bit over the years. When I came from Manual, we were in the wing tee, and that really wasn't my pace. I wanted to be somebody that spreaded it out a little more and put people in different positions. And if I had to give people what we start with each off season, we're going to figure out what our talent is. So if we've got four wide receivers are going to be on the field. If we got two running backs, we're going to have two running backs on the field. In high school football, you don't get to recruit to your talent, to your roster. We've got to, recruit is a whole different story, but you don't get the luxury of, who's going to show up and guarantee yourself what style of player you're going to get. So you got to be able to adapt. But, we want to go into each game plan in multiple sets. We want to give defenses things to think about. We're not going to be lined up in the same formation all night. We're not going to run the same 5 plays all night. We want to give you some different looks and make you think a little bit, but get our athletes in space. That's one thing that we've traditionally not been short of at PRP is having some guys that can make plays with balls in their hand. So we try to get it to them in any way we can.
So you know what I got out of that is basically you evaluating talent. You see what you have, and you are adapting to that talent.
Absolutely.
Every single year. We've been in 2 backs and a tight end. We've been in 5 wide. We might do that in the same game if we got the luxury of having all those guys. If we've got a defensive tackle that's athletic enough to come over and play fullback, we'll do a little bit of that. Or each year in high school sports, you don't know who you're going to have on your roster. There's no guarantee in that. Kids might move, or you might get this next stud that plays receiver, and that's kind of what I believe. There are guys that have a lot of success doing that. Scott County is a team that comes to mind where they are who they are, and you're going to fit in that system. And they have had a ton of success and made us look stupid, with their offense. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but what we've found is that we've got the most success in trying to evaluate that talent and put them in positions that they could be successful at.
So, as a current head coach and former, do you call the offensive plays, or you got a coordinator that does that?
I call the play. The way I tell our go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Coach, because I was leading into the question basically like I wanted to know because like how hard is it as far as becoming a coach and relinquish that, but it sounds like you're still calling the plays.
Yeah, it's a great question too, because that first year transition was really tough for me because when you've got to worry about the logistical items of it, Coach Heiser did an incredible job of just letting me go do my thing on offense. So, when I wake up on Saturday morning, the only thing I got to think about is drawing plays that week. When I wake up on Monday, it's about how are we going to practice those plays. You don't have to worry about fundraising and kids getting in trouble in second period and, any of the other items that you got to deal with as the head coach. So that initial transition was tough. And my coaches have asked that of me. Are you going to ever give that up? Are you going to give somebody the opportunity to call the plays? When I told them, that's the fun of it. The headaches of whether or not you're going to get to practice outside because of the weather today or, if it's COVID or whatever other not fun logistical item you got to deal with as a head coach. At the end of the day, I get to go back to my whiteboard in my basement and I get to dial something up. And when that works and that kid gets into end zone, there is no greater a feeling as a coach. So I'm a little selfish in that. I kind of want to have
Great answer.
Hey, Coach, let me ask you this. Where does all this energy come from you? Because I see you bounce around the field when you score a touchdown. You the first one in the end zone celebrating with the kids. I done saw you at scrimmages where varsity done went off. You refereeing. Where's all this energy you got coming from, man? You just bounce around everywhere.
I would love to blame it on the coffee, but I limit myself to 2 cups in the morning, so I can't put it on the caffeine. A funny story just jumped in my head too. I had a little league basketball coach. We wasn't no good, but we were at halftime. And the only person running around is Williams, and he hasn't stopped running around all night. And I thought to myself, is that really me? Like I didn't know. I kind of thought I was a lazy dude. Maybe I was just hanging out a little bit. I can't. I'll tell you a story that I probably shouldn't share with you. I played a little scout team quarterback today, and that's about as most fun as I've had in practice in a little bit. And it's just I want to be involved in it. I want to
Yeah.
go. I want the kids to feel that because Tuesdays ain't fun. There's nothing fun about a Tuesday practice. But if you could try to lift those guys up a little bit when they get there, I think that energy bounces off of people. And, if I can't get them here, maybe I can get them here. So maybe it's subconscious or I've trained it over the course of the last 13 years. But we know it's there. It's something we try to take our, a little bit of pride in. But, yeah, once it's Friday night, it's just the on switch, and I don't know how to turn it off.
Yeah.
But you know what, Coach? The thing about it is that when players see that,
Yes.
that's contagious.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
They see Coach getting into the ground.
Yes.
He's actually one of us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he's doing this. I mean, who don't want, like, you're very fortunate as a coach that can still do that.
Yeah, my coaches were making fun of me. They said, you're going to need some ice and ibuprofen tonight.
He be everywhere, man.
Hey, that's good.
Love it.
That's good stuff. But like I said, as a former player myself, man, to see I would have loved to see my Coach Jordan move around. He didn't do all that. So, hey, but that's the beauty of it, man. That's great stuff, man.
Yeah.
Really. You keep that energy. And I know, it gets hard and everything else, but man, that, like I said, that's so contagious. Like, let me ask you this though, Coach, before we dive into your current team and things like that. Last year, and even this year, we know that it's still a problem, still here. COVID. How was it last year playing and leading till now? Still here.
Yeah. No, it's a really good question because what people get to see is the product on Friday night. The hard part is how do we get to Friday night? And 2020 we were just appreciative to get a football season. So they're going to let us go out and play. And, that was hard. And, are they going to let – and the second that they told us we were at least going to get our seniors out on the field, you had this appreciation for just being able to get out there and do what you could do. The guidance was a little more specific on, if we knew if we got a positive, you're done and you're not going to play. And we fortunately – only had one, turned in to be a false positive last year, but we only had to miss 1 week. So we were really lucky in that way. I would actually say that so far, I think 2021 is a bigger challenge because the expectations were that we were going to get a full season. And so there was no worry about, well, maybe we won't get 10 games in. And now as we get into school and you learn some of the COVID protocols and return to play protocols and vaccinated versus unvaccinated. There's a lot to dig into there, but the weather has also piled on. We had, so the last 3 weeks, so going into DOS, we had 2 practices outside in 3 weeks. Wow. And that's not an excuse. That's just, there was a quarantine in there. There was heat in there. There's rain and lightning in there where you can't get outside. So, that's going to happen every year. That's not something that's COVID specific. But then on top of that, any given day, you could get a positive. And now you might lose your quarterback or you might lose your fullback or you might lose your linebacker. And then you've got to adapt as quickly as possible. So, last Friday, we brought those guys up. And those of you that are close to the program know that it was a challenging set of circumstances headed into Friday night. But we had a young man step up and do an incredible job. And it was just one of those things we talked about before. And, our little motto going into the season was no excuses. And we weren't going to give ourselves any on Friday. So we did a nice little, at the end of the game, let it out a little bit because the world wasn't going to get in our way. But, yeah, long-winded way of saying it's been a challenge.
Yeah. And, Coach, I mean, as I see, like, when did you guys, as you talked about the COVID rules and things, like, what I'm saying, like the different protocols, like, so did they like give you guys the playbook of that like before the season or like or as the season going on you're learning more different? I mean, how is that?
Yeah. To be completely honest, we do learn as we go to a degree. the policies that are in place now, we got to make sure that we have masks on when we're indoors. We got to make sure that we're spaced. When we're outside, we're allowed to take those off. And by nature of the way we organize our practices, we stay moving constantly so people aren't directly exposing themselves to one another, because every 5 minutes we're moving, and all that energy we were talking about, we try to make guys move around that much. But the tricky part was getting back into the school building and learning how a positive case could potentially impact those around them and what the rules around that were. And some of that stuff you don't get the information on because it's private health information. So then you have to try to, just you're kind of laid out. Well, here's what you got to do, and here's what you're going to go do. You're without him. And so that part's been a little bit of a struggle, but hopefully the last 3 weeks have given us at least enough guidance. What we know is that the way that we structure what we do every day is not going to put a kid at risk. And that was my primary number one. Just make sure I've got the rules from a science standpoint, or, from a health department standpoint that says what you're doing is going to keep guys safe. And if we're keeping guys safe, then all we got to do is go worry about football. And that's the best that we try every day.
That's great stuff right there, Coach. Okay, let's talk about the team. Let's talk about the team. Talk about highlight the offense, the defense. This do your stuff, man.
Yeah.
Don't go a million like you did when we first started and gave it all.
I'll try to shorten it up a little bit. I can get long with it. Yeah. No, you're good. Offensively, we've got some weapons. Caden Anderson at the quarterback spot is a returning starter for us. He was at one point in the season, I don't know how he ended it, but he was at least top 3 in 6A in passing yards last year. We lost Gant, we lost Hobbs. Those were 2 guys to be able to get the ball to, but we fill it in with Dixon and KJ and AJ and Ethan. Deshaun Barkley's coming back to the backfield. He played a little corner for us, but the guys that I really want to pat on the back are those bigs up front. On the first day of practice, we had 2 guys go down to the offensive line individual drill, and we said, no, hold up. That's something that's got to change today. And they bought into it, credit to them. And we've got 5 guys going the right way consistently, and that's always the struggle at PRP. We've got kids that can make plays in space, but we got to get them fit up front, and they're doing a great job of that. And, by evidence, I can't take all the credit on offense. We had some special teams plays, but putting up 36 points in the first half last week with a guy who probably didn't take as many reps at quarterback as he should have throughout the week says a lot about who we can be and how explosive we can be on offense. On the defensive side of the ball, we got a 4-year starter calling the shots in Malone inside. The best defensive line. Yeah, he flies around too. We call him the force field because right now when people hit him, they kind of bounce off of him. I'm not going to dog him out. He had one clip that he's not happy about from last week, Friday, but he's a man in the middle, and we've got 4 dudes up front that are not getting moved off the ball, and that is critical when it comes to stopping the run. We added Corian Conley inside. He was a transfer from St. X. Damon Forsyth came from out of town for us. He was the player of the week for us last week. And then in the secondary, Eli Reed has been an absolute awesome surprise. He wanted to transition over to corner this summer, and it was a great decision for him. Full transparency, I didn't know if it was a great idea for him, and I told him last week I love being proved wrong. He's playing a great corner for us.
Is he that 6'3"? Is he like the 6'3"?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a legitimate 6'3". He's long, and he's athletic. He just, at the receiver spot, I don't know if it fit his personality type. I think he wanted to, let's simplify it, let's lock on one, and let me do my job. Yep. And he's absolutely flourished in it. But got some guys on that side that are going to be able to make plays. And in our district, you got to be able to stop the run otherwise. And then, in the special teams game, that's something we've really tried to make a highlight. Going into the year, we said, a lot of what you can do on offense or defense is relegated to how talented you are. If I don't got a kid that, can go get it on offense, or a dude that can fly around and make tackles on defense, we're probably not going to be the best defense in the state, probably not going to be the best offense in the state. But special teams wise, it's just about taking pride in your job. And we did a great job of it last week, blocked 2 punts. One thing that we did do is give up a kickoff for a touchdown. So we've got some things to fix. But all in all, this is without question, and I will say it with confidence, the best team that we've had since 2017 in my first year there. So high expectations for us.
Who?
Got weapons.
Let me give it to the guy that
He got weapons.
you ain't said his name enough. But the kicker. What's the kicker's name, man? What's the kicker's name?
Well, it depends on who we send out there. Tyler Coffey kicked off for us last week. He's a little banged up headed into this week. Kion has kicked off for us before.
Yep.
No, Coach. Coach, stop.
I know. Yeah. Hey, look. You got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do.
That's good stuff, man. Hey, I tell you what, man. That is not good stuff. Great stuff. Because, like I said earlier in the interview, you're evaluating things and moving parts. Sometimes things is coming this way and you make it way. Hey, I love that. So let's get to the district. Who's in you guys' district?
So we got, and we tell our kids this every day in the off season, the toughest district in the state. St. X, Manual, and the people in Shively.
Well, I don't. Them first two you said, I don't. Them first two used to be in my district back in the day, so
yeah.
I'm ready to throw them out too. So I got you on that, Coach.
Oh,
I got you. I got you on that one. Big time. So, I was talking to Mark. What was yesterday? I think it was. And we was talking about the schedule and everything. It seems like you got a lot of big games at home this year.
Yes, we do. I can't say by design. The home and away doesn't normally line up exactly how you want it to, but yeah, we've got no arguments about who we actually. The furthest game that we go to is St. X, so we're right down the street for every road game. We bring Bowling Green into town. We bring Lex Cath into town.
When is that, Coach? When is that, Coach?
Next week. We got Lex Cath next week.
Guess who will be in the building next week?
Yeah, come on down.
I'll be in the building next week.
We got a fun little 3-game stretch. We got Bowling Green, defending 5A state champs. We got Lex Cath. Everybody knows they're a statewide program. And then we get DeSales the following week. So it's kind of private on private on private. I know Bowling Green doesn't count themselves as that. But, that we like challenging ourselves. I think Jason Frakes has said something about that before, that it always feels like we, put this monster schedule together. But what we believe is if we're going to play that district, you can't fake it. You can't go into that district and say, all right, we're 6-0. Let's go take on some of the best teams in the state. You got to be battle tested. You got to prove it against people. You got to feel that speed and that physicality on the field. So, we put it together, but I am looking very much forward to that 3-game stretch.
Let me ask this, Coach. Like I said, I'm an old head. When did you guys became in the same district with St. X and Manual? Because I know that has not always been like that. So
the realignment, this most recent realignment changed. So we actually had Male in our district on top of those teams before, is it 4 years ago now? Forgive me on the year. We went through a little stretch there in 2011 through 15-ish, where our district was Seneca, Southern, and Butler. And we were able to make a nice little run there. 2012, we made a run to the state championship. And I'm not going to, blame. We had a really good football team that year, and we could have beat just about anybody. But the district's shaken up a little bit in recent years. I don't see that changing anytime soon. I actually appreciate it. I love being at PRP partly because of that. I want to go play the best. I want our guys to know that when we go beat the best, that there ain't nobody else out there that could challenge you, because you just beat the guys that everybody's concerned with. And we've thrown Trinity on the schedule and Male on the schedule. I'm not going to say that we punked out on Male, but we already had our plates a little full going into this.
I don't. Only reason was for Kai and his dad. That's my guy. Taz is my guy. So it's a family thing. That's all.
I completely get it. And for us, I'm not kidding. What some of my most fun games to go into game planning wise is against Coach Wolf. He does a great job on the defensive side. He and I texted a little bit after the game last year. Just I should have done a little something different to 14. Should have gave him the Rondell treatment. It's fun to make guys because that he's a great football mind. So if you're able to have some success on those guys, then you did something right. And you get to put that into your kids going into playoffs. And This year though they've got a heck of a football team, and that front and Selah, I'm glad he's graduating. So maybe we'll see him after he's
Wait a minute. Who you say, Coach?
Selah, man.
yeah.
Hey, look, I'm sure. I don't know if Coach Satterfield watches this, but if he don't get that boy on campus, I don't know what's going on.
Coach been hitting home runs all
night.
Yeah, big time. So let me ask you this, Coach, and you just said something which I love that as far as Wolf and you guys communicate. Like, is that like, does that go on with a lot of coaches? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because that's great if it does. I'm just asking.
Yeah, no. So I've had the pleasure of serving as the GLFCA president for the past couple of years. So I'm kind of by nature a little more interactive with the guys around town, and we've really tried to reach out to the younger coaches and try to create some camaraderie. There was a period of time where coaches may not have spoken with each other as often, but we got together this past offseason and sat down and tried to revise the playoffs and what we thought made sense and kind of present that to the state association and get that to the KHSAA. So yeah, we'll sit down and have an adult beverage or two and talk a little bit of football. But there's really not too many guys around town that aren't willing to pick up the phone and have a conversation with you. A lot of good guys out there in the city.
I love that. That's needed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. That's how you grow. That's how Louisville grows. We already know. I mean, I'm biased. I would love to have 4 teams going to the, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
All that stuff separated and all this kind of stuff like that. So let me ask you this. And you talked about how PRP is a neighborhood school and all this. Talk about the fans, man. I don't think a lot of people understand what you said. I know what you're talking about. I know Mark does it. Please talk about them and how important they are to the program.
I think I can give you one example that'll tell it all. We host a spring game each year, and we host what we call a Panther preview, which is essentially us playing versus us.
Yep.
We make $5,000 on that game twice a year for $5 a pop. So that means that you got 1,000 people that are willing to support a practice. So, and it is too. We tell those guys going into that game, hey, look, I know this is going to feel like you're just playing yourselves and it's just a glorified practice. They get out there and their heart's beating fast because they got all their friends and family and people down the street and the administrators and teachers that want to come watch you play. And it's an event, and that's what we try to do. And we're not even close to where I would love for us to be. I want the person that lives across the street from me. I live in the neighborhood. I want them at the game and the people down the street at the game. I don't have any delusions of us being some Texas high school, but I don't think it's unreasonable to get 2,000 people in those stands. But like we tell those guys, we got to put a product out there that people want to go see. So as long as we're winning football games, going back into that 2012 season, they shut Dixie Highway down for us. We had a police escort all the way down Dixie on the way to Bowling Green. And those are memories, man, for those kids and this community to step up and support you like that. I would kind of say there's nothing like it. I can't think of anything in the city that has the support that we do.
Love that. Coach, I got a quick question. This is off my dome. I always off the dome real quick. Are you a visor guy or a hat guy or no hat?
You see this hair? Why would I want to mess with that?
That's what when I said it, I was thinking, maybe he slapped the visor on.
I thought about that when I was young. And, the Gruden visor and maybe the visor will be on that thing. It ended up being shorts. I love wearing shorts. I wear them all year round. It could be 10 degrees out there, but I'm going to be in shorts. So that's kind of my deal.
Okay.
Bouncing around.
Bouncing around. I saw the dude, you know what I'm saying? I saw you was looking fly tonight. So I said I said one of the ass that picture. All that good stuff. Coach, we're gonna have some fun with you real quick. Real quick. Let me ask you this. For Friday's game, what is the keys for PRP to come out with a victory?
Let me try to get specific. What I was going to say is we got to be able to run the ball and we got to be able to stop the run, but that's a little too generic for me. We've got to be able to get guys at the first level fit at the first level. Like you talked about with Bowling Green, their defensive line is their strong suit. So we've got to have bodies on those bodies. And if we can do that, I know that we're going to be able to have success at the second and third level because I love our matchups with that. On the defensive side, stopping the run is everything for us. We've got some guys, at the corner positions that I think will be able to I'm not going to say shut their pass game down. They do a great job of getting the ball in space. But there's some run concepts that we're going to have to fit properly, and we haven't always done that in the past. But if we've got those guys in position, I know we're going to be able to tackle. I know we're big enough and strong enough. I don't think any of that's the problem. But Bowling Green is one of the best coach teams that you're going to see all year. They are always doing what they are taught 100% of the time on every single play. So it's a great test for us. That's why I love keeping the game on the schedule. It's a tough opponent, but it tests your rules and it tests how good you are.
Yeah, you're right. Real quick, Coach, I want to give a little shout out to 91, Mr. Will on your team. He played with my nephew who's at Male, you know what I'm saying? So shout out. Big guy.
Yeah, no, he's a young fella too, and he's got a lot of football ahead of him. But he goes hard in practice, so I know he's going to get himself there.
I love that, love that. So, Coach, we're gonna have some fun now. Before we wrap it up, we're gonna have some fun. Get you off your,
I've been having fun.
Your football. We know. Yeah, we know. We're gonna have to have some conversations later on too. I bet you are fun, Coach. Hold on. Let's do this. And what's gonna happen, Coach, is that once I bring this scene up, I'm going to bring you back on.
Yeah.
So hold on. Let's go with let's see what Coach. Let me go with Coach on this one. Damn. All right, Coach. We got a thing where we do basically franchise player, all-star player, stat player. We ranking players. And basically we got Reggie Miller, we got Steph Curry, and we got Ray Allen. So basically 1, 2, 3. Franchise the best, stat is the least of the 3. So rank them for us, please, Coach.
Man, Steph is the nastiest shooter I've ever seen, and jaw dropper. I'm going Steph, Reggie, and Ray, and that's not really even fair because all 3 of those dudes I want on my team.
Right. All right, moving right along, Coach. Best dunker, 50, 45, 40. In-game dunks, Coach. So you got Dominique, you got Vince, and you got Jordan.
Vince is a 70. He jumped over a 7-footer. Jordan's just smooth. So Dominique's probably got him in the dunk game, but I can't put Jordan third on anything. I'm going Vince, Jordan, Wilkins.
Love it. Make sure you guys who's watching this, make sure you hit the like button because Coach is giving you everything. And make sure you subscribe. Coach is rocking and rolling tonight. All right, so let's go to this one, Coach. Franchise player, all-star player, stat player. This is 2 guards. This is the youth movement, the young guns. You got Booker, Mitchell, and Murray.
Mitchell's the franchise. The Spider is everything, and the other 2 went to the school that I'm not going to talk about. So chuck them.
Coach, we will be hollering at you. Coach, we will be. Yeah, Coach. Yeah, I got you. I love some Coach. I will be in the building next week, Coach.
Is crazy.
Yeah, Coach. Oh my goodness gracious.
Fun.
All right. Franchise all-star stat player. It's also the youth movement. This as far as the point guards. You got Young, you got LaMelo, and Ja.
Oh man, Young is a ball player. He's gonna win you more games than Ja probably will. Ja's a human highlight reel, and the Ball family I got problems with.
Hey, Coach, let us know when you're free to join the show, bro.
Anytime.
All right, let's move on this one. Let's move to this one. Okay. Let's go boxing. Heavyweight, welterweight, lightweight. Sugar Ray, Hearns, Hagler.
Yeah, Sugar Ray is, I ain't going to say heads and shoulders, but he's a bad man. And then I'll probably go Hearns and Hagler.
Love it. Well, Coach, I'll tell you something else, Coach, for real. I'm not even on front, man. You something else. Let's go bring you back on here real quick. Coach, we're going to let you, we're we always like before we wrap it up, we always let people on here to give thanks to people in their life that affect them and mean the world to them. Whatever how you want to do it, man. We really appreciate you on the show, but this is your time to thank whoever you need to thank, Coach.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that opportunity. It's something we don't get to do a lot. Number one would be my wife. You can't do any of this stuff without the support at home. And I got 3 kids, and, we try to keep them as involved as I can. But Daddy's got to be at football practice and got to go to work, too. So if she wasn't here holding the house down, we would be in a whole lot of trouble. And then I guess the timing of it would just be nice to honor Coach Rob Reeder. He passed away last week. We had his funeral on Monday and laid him to rest. And it was tough for us, man, because we've had a lot of good times together. He was there with me, from 10 to 16 before he went on to Moore. And that man, I told my wife this on the way back, said, I think I talked to him on the phone more than any other human in my life. And that includes my wife or mama or anybody else. But, man, he was a great man, lived a great life, and is absolutely worth being honored.
Love that, Coach. Yes. Love it. Hey, I'm dead serious, Coach. We definitely going to get with you. I will be in the building next week for all the PRP.
Say hello.
I will be in the building. I will be with the camera. I'm trying to, Coach, and be on there taking videos and film, be on the field, try to get everything and highlight your players and all that good stuff, man. And I'm going to tell you what, it's actually for me to learn. I hope everybody else who did not know Tommy Williams, that the head coach for PRP, has enjoyed this, because I've learned so much about you and your program. Mm-hmm. And I know that PRP is in great hands.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. That does mean a lot. That means a lot.
Great hands. So, hey, thank everybody for watching.
Mr. Tommy. Before you, don't hang up. We're going to do the outro. Don't hang up. I need to talk to you real quick.
Understood.
Man, I couldn't wait. No, I'm playing. All right. All right, thank you guys for watching tonight.
Wednesday night, tuned in to this legacy. Mark and Will locked in on this legacy. Malone PRP's in on this legacy. Let's go. What you know about this legacy? Wednesday night, tuned in to this legacy. Mark and Will locked in on this legacy. Get your popcorn, I know you need this medicine. Let's go.